Hello, hello. Hey, hey, hey. Happy Wednesday. How's everyone doing today? Just checking if we're live. Everything seems all right. Let me go live straight away on Instagram as well. So we're all here together and I can introduce the topic of today. Because the topic of today is something that people have been asking about, and it's not necessarily well, let me introduce the topic before I say anything else. Today, we're going to speak about 4 types of cues that support your students. And what I'm trying to say with you've been asking me about cues, how to cue more efficiently, how to be more effective at it, how to really help your student get into an asana, get out of it. Hi, Wissa, how are you doing? Nice to see you. How to get in and out of an asana, but also how to support them when they are in it, and how they can experience different things that they might not have felt before, or find something new. Very common cue, find something new here. So let's dive in straight away. And if you have any questions, let me know, write in the comments. I will answer your questions at the end of the chat. If you need to leave or if you're watching the replay, tell me as well, so I know who's here and I can follow up with you to find out if it was useful for you. So 4 types of support cues or 4 types of cues that support your students. So the main job of a yoga teacher, I don't have sound. Thank you for letting me know. Let me see. Is this working for you now? Can you hear me? I'm going to give you a moment to make sure you can actually hear me on Instagram. Let me see. On Facebook, can everyone hear me? Let me know. Let me see. Hi, Leanne. How are you doing? Nice to see you. Let me see, is there sound? Please on Instagram, let me know if you can hear me now. So I won't continue without sound. On Facebook as well, let me know. Can you hear me properly? Yeah, on Facebook seems to be working. Yes, Leanne can hear me. Amazing. All right. In that case, I'm just going to continue. The main job of a yoga teacher is to assist students in their learning journey. So you're not there to tell them about what they are supposed to do, but really give them the tools and the guidance as to their goals, their wishes, the current experience they have with yoga, and help them to enter or to explore a deeper experience. So being a teacher comes with great responsibility. It requires you to be mindful, but not only mindful of the things that you're teaching them, very mindful of your language and communication, and pay attention to what you're actually teaching, what you're actually saying, and what you can do to provide them with what they truly need. So apart from developing your social skills and building student-teacher relationships, you need to become aware of how you instruct your students in a supportive way. And the way to do that is paying attention to the words, the phrases, the cues, expressions, metaphors, quotes, everything that you're using in your communication. So in this training, I'm going to speak about support cues. They are a little bit different from active cues or instructional cues, and I'm going to speak about that in a moment. First of all, what is cueing? So cueing is the action of giving clear instructions so that your students are able to get into a position, maintain the position, and get out of it with ease. So clear and concise cueing is very, very important to keep your students safe from any physical injury, but also emotional damage. Because as you know, the way that we speak to our students, the words that we use directly affect the student. And you never know what type of trauma or experiences they come into class with. So our words are extremely important. So in yoga, cueing can involve hands-on assistance as well. Hands-on assistance is when you use your hands or when you use touch to adjust or get your students into a certain position. Often we use this to reach optimal, doing this because it's depending on the student. So optimal alignment according to the student's anatomy. So cueing is really the way that you instruct your students to get in, maintain the position, or out of the position. So why then are support cues so important? So a yoga teacher should always aim at guiding their students by using verbal cues. One of the main reasons for this is that some students might not feel comfortable when you touch them. And that might be because of past experiences. It might be that they simply don't prefer physical contact. Another reason, maybe, especially for those that are watching this, it may be because you're teaching online. Because when you're teaching online, hands-on assistance simply isn't possible. You're not in the same space. So especially in these two cases, the case in which the student isn't comfortable with you touching them, or the case that you're teaching online, your cues should be very clear and concise in order to avoid any confusion and still let your students experience the asana in the way that it suits best for them. So apart from instructional cues, like lift your hands up to the ceiling, look forward, ground through your feet, these are instructional cues. You can also provide your students with support cues. So support cues are instructional words and phrases, not cues in general, that teachers use to guide their students once they are in the pose or when they hold the position. So instructional cues get your students in it, and support cues allow you to provide a deeper experience of the asana when they are in it, so they hold it or they've already arrived there. So these types of cues are letting the students experience more depth, steadiness, comfort, and ease. And this is also referred to in yoga language as sthira and sukha. So in the courses that we offer, I teach you how to create your sentences, how to sequence, but you also learn how to offer physical, mental, emotional, sensory, and breath support. I want to introduce you to these things because it's very important that you include them in your yoga classes to give your students a more well-rounded or a deeper experience. So it can really help you to reinforce the students' experience of your classes. So 4 different types. I'm gonna list them out for you. The first one is physical support. The second, emotional and sensory support. The third, mental support. And the last is breath support. So starting with physical support. Physical support cues are the cues that encourage optimization of the foundation and alignment of the asanas. So it gives your students the opportunity to try something new. So it can help them to find a new or a deeper expression of the asana, but also find relief when it's too challenging or when it's uncomfortable. So the focus is on the body, on anatomy and physicality. So a physical support cue in, for example, forward fold is bring your chest closer to your thighs, slightly bend your knees. Inhale, find length in your spine, and on an exhale, slowly let yourself fold deeper. So we're already in the asana, and to experience more depth, we can bring the upper body closer to the knees or closer to the thighs and the shins, depending on the anatomy of the student, and fold deeper. So it's a support cue to experience more depth, and in this case, a physical support cue. All right. The second one is emotional and sensory support. So emotional and sensory support cues are used to facilitate emotional awareness. These types of cues allow your students to explore emotional aspects or sensations that arise in a position or stage of their practice. So they also make they also help with learning to make connections between feelings, emotions, and bodily sensations. Because you may have experienced that when you're in a forward fold, energetically, mentally, and emotionally, it feels different than when you're standing up tall in mountain pose, for example. So this is a really great opportunity for you to introduce emotional support cues to tap into that awareness, to create awareness of how this really feels. So these type of support cues really help your students to become aware of the relation between a movement and their emotions. So identifying the emotions in a position also helps your students to become more in tune with their body. So it helps them to listen to their needs, of letting go what no longer serves them, of simply becoming aware where in the body they feel certain emotions. So an example of a support cue, an emotional support cue in, for example, goddess pose, is dial in with your heart and notice how you feel. As you're standing here vigorously, what emotion arises for you? So it's a really great way to ask questions, to give them a sense of, got a lot of different words coming up now. So to give them a sense of awareness of where in the body they feel certain things when they make specific movements. All right, so second one, emotional and sensory support. Then we've got the third support cue, that is mental support. So mental support cues are often confused with emotional support cues, but where we really focus on feelings and emotions and sensations through the movement with emotional support cues, mental support cues really focus on the mindset, the thoughts, limiting beliefs, anything that we tell ourselves that comes up when we practice asana. So mental support cues exist out of words and phrases that encourage your students in a motivational way. And they specifically are used to create awareness of the mental fluctuations. So the way that we speak to ourselves, our mindset when things get challenging. And to use mental support cues, you should identify first how your student is feeling. As a teacher, we are not mind readers and we can't feel for anyone else, but your students can give away very great clues in their body language, in their facial expression, and their breath. So when you want to use mental support cues, observe your students. What do they tell you with their face? Are they really tensed? Do they look quite relaxed? Do you think, or do you see that they are thinking a lot, or they're really busy trying to stay in the practice or trying to get into something and get frustrated with themselves? Because your observations will give you a lot of information about the type of mental support cue your students may need. Sorry, I've got something in my throat. So a mental support cue in, for example, crow pose, notice your thoughts as you feel your physical body working. What does your mind want you to do in the more challenging moments? So it's again a question that helps your students to become aware of thoughts, limiting beliefs, and the way that they speak to themselves in asanas. And it can be a very challenging moment, but it can also be a moment that they are not even aware of what they are doing anymore and thinking of their to-do list and other tasks that are pending, right? So the third one was mental support cues. The last one is breath support. So most yogis learn to stay present in the moment by bringing their attention to their breath. This is one of the first things that when you practice yoga or when you start practicing yoga. However, telling your students when to breathe, how long their inhalation should be, how long their exhalations should last, all of that causes in general to interrupt the natural flow and become dependent on you as a teacher. Of course, your students need this guidance because a lot of people are not aware of the way they are breathing, and you do need to teach them some type of breath work. But you should not try to control their breath and breathe for them. And with that, I mean inhale. Inhale, lift your arms up. Exhale, exhale, let your arms go down. This is fine because you're guiding them to inhale and lift their arms. But sometimes in, for example, downward facing dog, I see teachers, let's say, hold the breath for 5 breaths. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. In this case, you're breathing for them, and it's okay because they're following your guide, but they do not learn how to breathe themselves, how to even pay attention to how it feels to breathe by themselves. So instead of breathing for your students, guide your students' breath, remind them to breathe, and sprinkle in some breath support cues to let them experience and practice breathing independently. So a breath support cue that is appropriate could be pay attention to your breath, or notice the pace of your breath. Notice the duration of your inhalations. Notice the durations of your exhalations. Let your breath flow naturally. So you remind them of the breath, maybe even catch their breath, but you're not breathing for them, right? So it really helps them to also pay attention throughout the day to their breath, or in the rest of their practice. Because the more that you repeat these breath support cues, the more that they will remind themselves of it as well. So then, how can you start using these cues? I've got something here for you. So if you want to learn how to cue and how to optimize your language and communication for effective yoga classes, in the English for Yoga Teachers course, I teach you how to write, how to cue, and how to design sequences in English that your students will love. So you can, in the link in my bio, if you go to the website, you can check out the English for Yoga Teachers course. We are starting in September, so it's still a while away, but you can already sign up to the wait list. What I do want you to do today, if you are interested in this and you are ready to take your first step, is sign up for the Teach Yoga in English Challenge. So it's a free 3-day challenge in which I help you build the foundation of your international yoga teaching career so that you can speak and feel yourself, even when you're teaching in a foreign language. That means that you can share your passion with the world, you can teach worldwide, and you will feel confident teaching yoga in English. So have a look at that. The link is in my bio. You can sign up now until the 30th of June for free. After the 30th of June, you can still take the challenge on our learning platform, but it will be $49. So do take this opportunity right now. Sign up. I'm very excited about it. It's only 3 days, but it's really, really thorough. So we're going to go in depth to help you unblock all the things that are holding you back right now, to upgrade your communication style and your communication skills, and carve out a path for your international teaching journey. So find the link in my bio. I'm going to quickly summarize support cues. What is cueing? Cueing are giving instructions to help your students get in an asana, maintain it, or get out of it. And support cues specifically help your students to get deeper into an asana, but also help your students to become aware of their body, their mind, and their breath. So the types of support cues are physical support, emotional and sensory support, mental support, and breath support. All right, so if you have any questions about this, write them in the comments. If you're watching the replay as well, write them in the comments or send me a message. For now, sign up to the Teach Yoga and English Challenge. It's from the 1st to the 3rd of July. You can sign up and register for free until the 30th of June. Don't miss out on it. And I hope to see all of you there. Have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week. Next week, very important, we're going to be back with 2 expert interviews. So I will be live on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Check out the calendar on our Facebook page. And I will see all of you there. Have a great day, everyone.